Thank you, Madam Chair. It's clear to me that no real solutions for lowering gas prices have come out of this hearing today. People are more focused on playing the blame game rather than identifying actions to lower gas and energy prices for Americans. We're in an unprecedented time. We've seen historic inflation caused by a multi-year pandemic and now a war in Europe. I have no issues with energy companies making profits. What I do have an issue with is the excess profits that you are making at the expense of the American people. Since the Industrial Revolution, oil and gas companies have invested in technologies to help ensure Americans have access to energy that we need to survive and thrive. However, in America, the natural resources belong to the American people and often sits on our lands, in the ground, in our country. This is critical to remember. I understand that oil and gas markets are complex. What I don't understand is that when we are multiple unprecedented crises occurring right now, oil and gas companies are turning a blind eye, choosing their Wall Street friends over their corporate responsibility to the American people. They're partners in this whole process over time. Thousands of Ukrainians have been slaughtered at the hands of the Russian invaders. Parts of Arizona saw the highest rates of inflation in the nation over the past year, and Americans are paying the highest gas prices that they've paid in decades. Americans are hurting. When the world shut down in 2020, Congress passed bipartisan COVID relief bills that included critical support for businesses of all sizes. Over the course of the pandemic, demand for oil fell sharply, and oil prices temporarily went negative. But oil and gas companies benefited from over $8 billion in relief. Oil and gas companies have long benefited from tax breaks like the intangible drilling cost deduction and others that American taxpayers pay billions for every year. The companies on this panel alone made the $76.4 billion in profits last year. But I know that oil and gas companies are back to raking in profits. They've forgotten the American taxpayer and their partners in the whole history of energy in America. We are oil and gas companies. Where are they at now when the American public needs help? Multiple of the witnesses have testified today. They've forecasted that returning money to investors is more important than lowering prices. They've stated it time and time again over the last months. This has real consequences for people in my district. High gas prices have a severe impact on rural America. It's not uncommon for my constituents to rack up over 50 miles a day commuting to work and school and running everyday errands. When energy prices go up, everything becomes more expensive. Families, farmers, ranchers, and rural Americans everywhere have to make up and make the hard decisions to cut costs somewhere. Congress is limited in how much it can affect oil prices set by global markets. But we can do something. We can work together for the American people, as we have done in the past, to overcome this. But we can't let this crisis stop us from taking steps to ensure our energy independence. We must invest, and you must invest, in the future of energy in America, clean energy in America and the world. But in every past crisis, we've been told that increasing domestic production will solve the issue. It hasn't. The long-term solution is not limiting our dependence on foreign oil, not just limiting it, but it is to transition from the current dependence on foreign oil. I have some other things I'd like to say, but I also want to correct a couple of things here. We are in a different landscape. It was mentioned earlier, the pricing, how much it's increased over the last year or so. There was a chart up here. That different landscape, part of that didn't show that part of the reason is we've had tens of millions of jobs come online. That means more energy needs. That means more cost. It wasn't just when the Russians attacked Ukraine. It was the buildup to the Ukraine attack that caused a lot of that price rise. Pre-invasion pricing just went up exponentially. And finally, I've heard time and time again over the last several weeks, but let alone today, that we are not doing the job on LNG. We're the largest exporter in the world on LNG, and pretty soon we have the permits available, and they have to be invested on by your companies to do 30+ billion cubic feet additional over and above. We have two new facilities coming online. So with that, Madam Chair, I want to thank you for your time.
I thank
and
the
yield.
gentleman.